The story begins with Ceres, a man with a stern look, who introduces himself as a person of unwavering integrity. However, he reveals that not long ago, he activated a mysterious system. A system notification pops up, explaining its strange and troublesome ability. Anyone Ceres locks on to will have their deepest lust awakened. The scene cuts to a chaotic battlefield where human warriors are in a desperate retreat. They scream in terror, realizing they've been used as bait against overwhelmingly powerful demonic beasts. Ceres' inner monologue reveals his disdain for the system, stating he never wanted it in the first place. A formidable female demon with white hair effortlessly catches a fleeing warrior, mocking the feebleness of human fighters. Witnessing this overwhelming power difference, Ceres has a change of heart, realizing he may have no other choice. A close-up reveals the demoness' identity, Princess Yog, the Demon King's wife. With a look of utter contempt, she licks her finger, remarking that the human warriors are a far cry from her king. A fellow D-rank warrior, Bella, pleads with Ceres to escape with her. She points out that he is merely an F-rank warrior and shouldn't try to play the hero. But Ceres firmly refuses, declaring that he cannot run away at such a critical moment when the city's safety is at stake. Princess Yog lets out a bored yawn, completely unimpressed by the humans. In stark contrast, Ceres stands defiantly, shouting that he can handle her. Despite his bold words, Ceres' body betrays his weakness as blood trickles from his nose due to the immense pressure from his opponent. Yet, his resolve is unshaken as he declares he will never retreat. Bella looks on, shocked at his state. Seeing his condition, Bella desperately yells at him to run, pointing out that the immense pressure is already exhausting him. She questions how he could possibly fight when he can barely even stand his ground. While Bella panics, one of Princess Yog's minions points out the defiant human who still remains. Yog, her interest finally peaked, turns her gaze towards the lone figure of Ceres, preparing to deal with the nuisance herself. Enraged, Princess Yog commands her demonic beasts to kill Ceres, charging alongside them with a bloodthirsty grin. As she leaps through the air towards him, she declares her gruesome intention to use his head as a fine cup for her beloved king, while Ceres bravely stands his ground. Just as she is about to strike, Ceres activates his power. A system window appears before him with a bizarre and ironic message. Login system, I love the man before me. Yog continues her deadly lunge, her eyes glowing with murderous intent. The system confirms its activation, locking onto the Demon King's wife as its target. As the system fully activates, Yog's attack pose twists into something else entirely as she is drawn irresistibly towards Ceres. Instead of a fatal blow, Yog's hand gently cups Ceres' face. He maintains a resolute expression, bracing for the system's effect. An unseen force compels her to get closer, overriding her will to kill. A close-up shows her sharp, demonic fangs, but her breathy sigh indicates her murderous intent has been completely subverted. In a shocking turn of events, Yog kisses him. A notification immediately appears. Kiss completed. Attack plus 100. As the system's reward flashes before him, Ceres has a profound realization. This shameful power can be used to enhance his combat abilities. The sight is so unbelievable that Bella screams in pure confusion and horror, demanding to know what on earth Ceres is doing. The bizarre scene leaves everyone, friend and foe alike, completely stunned. Even Princess Yog's own demonic minions are stunned, with one of them asking what their grace is doing. With a determined glance and empowered by his new plus 100 attack bonus, Ceres turns his attention to the demonic beasts and unleashes a powerful slash. Princess Yog pulls back, a furious glare in her glowing red eyes as she tries to process what just happened. She leaps away, putting distance between herself and the human who has thrown her into confusion. Meanwhile, Ceres vigorously wipes his mouth with a disgusted look on his face, while a blushing Bella is left utterly speechless beside him. Yog is completely bewildered, her heart pounding in her chest. She clutches her head, wondering what just happened to her and why she ended up kissing the man she was supposed to kill. Ceres, misunderstanding the nature of his power, steals his resolve. He declares that for the sake of the city's safety, he's willing to sacrifice even his own body. Her minions, however, come to a very different conclusion. They gossip amongst themselves, recalling rumors of their grace having a secret lover, and are shocked to find out it's a human. They hilariously misinterpret Ceres' bravery as the composure of a man used to his lover's kisses. Hearing this, another demonic beast angrily silences them, furiously defending the princess's loyalty to the king and claiming that cheating is a detestable human trait. Flustered and blushing, Yog panics internally, determined that news of her kissing a human must never reach the king. She feels her heart racing, and a new system window appears, showing her lust index has risen to 15%. Trying to cover her embarrassment, Princess Yog once again orders her demonic beasts to kill the human, and they charge forward. Ceres braces himself, ready to test his newfound strength against the oncoming onslaught. One of the large, green-skinned beasts swings its massive axe down on Ceres. With a determined roar, Ceres swings his own sword, infused with his new power, to meet the attack head-on. He manages to block the devastating blow, but the force of the impact reverberates through the air. To his dismay, he realizes the beast's attack was so powerful that it shattered his sword with a single strike. Now disarmed, Ceres finds himself surrounded by the demonic beasts as they press their attack. Another beast takes a wide swing, aiming to slice the vulnerable human in two. In a flash, Ceres realizes that while his defense hasn't grown any stronger, his attack has increased by 100 points. He readies the hilt of his broken sword with renewed determination. Despite his broken weapon, Ceres uses his enhanced power to expertly block and parry the beast's relentless attacks. As another beast swings its axe, Ceres senses a different threat approaching at high speed. He hears the rustle of its powerful steps as it closes in. Whipping around, he swings his broken sword with all his might. His attack lands with a resounding thwack, sending the demonic beast flying backward. Bella watches in utter disbelief, shocked that an F-rank warrior like Ceres could possess enough power to send one of the beasts flying. Ceres smirks, feeling confident that his powerful strike must have cleaved the creature in half. However, the beast staggers back to its feet, revealing that the mighty blow only managed to scratch its tough skin. Ceres realizes with a grimace that these demonic beasts are incredibly formidable. Suddenly, he senses another danger and whips around again. Before he can even recover from the last exchange, Princess Yog is already upon him, descending with a powerful diving kick aimed straight for his head. With absolutely no time to evade, Ceres can only cross his arms in a desperate guard, bracing himself for the imminent, bone-shattering impact. The impact of her kick is immense, creating a powerful shockwave. The force is so great that it sends not only Ceres, but also the nearby Bella flying backward. Seeing an opening, the demonic beasts begin to advance on the fallen humans. Princess Yog successfully pins Ceres to the ground, and her minions cheer that she has subdued him. While Ceres is pinned, one of the beasts lunges forward to deliver a final blow, causing Ceres to panic. But suddenly a long black, pointed tail whips through the air with incredible speed. It's Yog's tail. In a shocking move, she strikes her own soldier, knocking his weapon away and stopping his attack on Ceres. The beast is sent tumbling away. Princess Yog, the enemy commander, has just saved her opponent. Utterly confused by their grace's actions, the beast commander hastily orders his soldiers to stand down. He threatens death to any who disobey, trying to regain control of the chaotic situation. Yog rises, her face flushed and her eyes gleaming with a predatory light. She snarls that she will personally teach this human a lesson. While her words sound like a death threat to her soldiers, her true intention is masked by the system's influence, as her lust index has now reached a staggering 91%. Misunderstanding the situation entirely, her loyal minions cheer her on, eagerly encouraging their grace to kill the human. Consumed by the system's power, Yog lunges at him, declaring that she is going to bite him to death. Ceres can only look on in shock as her face gets dangerously close to his. Instead of a fatal attack, however, she bites down on his ear. As she slurps on his ear, another system notification appears. Defense, plus 50. Ceres is left to wonder in despair if this humiliation is the price he must pay for power. In the midst of a desperate battle, the warrior Ceres is conflicted. He thinks to himself that a certain action would be an utter insult to his integrity, but swallowing his pride, Ceres hardens his resolve. For the safety of the city's residents, he decides that such a minor, personal insult is a price worth paying. Meanwhile, his opponent, the powerful demon Princess Yog, is in a state of utter confusion. A strange feeling washes over her as she finds herself acting intimately towards a mere human, questioning her own bewildering actions. As Yog loses control of her body due to Ceres' unique ability, Ceres himself feels a surge of power. A notification appears, showing his agility has been boosted by 120 points, a direct result of the princess's unwilling actions. Watching from the sidelines, one of Yog's goblin subordinates is perplexed by the scene. He wonders aloud if her grace is truly going to kill the human, sensing that something is deeply unusual about her behavior. Another, more zealous goblin soldier immediately shuts him down, angrily trying to rationalize the situation. He claims her grace is merely searching for the human's weak spot, and that the other should keep quiet if he doesn't understand her brilliant strategy. Again, Ceres is showered with stat boosts from Yog's strange assault. With his defense increased by 130 and his attack by 150, he feels a newfound confidence, believing he can finally handle these demonic beasts. Now powered up, Ceres declares it's time to fight back. As Princess Yog lunges forward with her dagger, one of her own soldiers screams a warning, not at Ceres, but at his own princess, anticipating the human's counterattack. With a resounding BAM, Ceres makes his move. He decisively intercepts Princess Yog's strike, his armored gauntlet clashing against her blade, halting her attack in its tracks. Seizing the opening, Ceres grabs the demon princess by her neck, attempting to overpower her. However, as he squeezes, he grinds his teeth in frustration, realizing that even with all his new power, it's still not enough to gain the upper hand. With a tremendous boom, Princess Yog slams Ceres into a rock wall. Seeing this, her goblin subordinate is ashamed of his earlier doubts, now convinced of her killing intent and cheering for her to finish him. But internally, Princess Yog is in turmoil. A strange feeling continues to overwhelm her body, and she desperately tries to fight back against the unnatural compulsion taking her over. Pinning the warrior against the wall, Yog tries to maintain her authority, questioning how a puny human dares to oppose her. Yet, her hand lands on his armor with a gentle pat, betraying her aggressive words. Suddenly, the compulsion becomes too much. Yog's face twists into a crazed, blushing grin as she laughs manically, her desire now fully corrupted by the system. She's going to strip him completely. With a powerful bang, her sharp, clawed hand strikes Ceres' chest plate. With a loud clang, Ceres' armor shatters. Yog declares she wants to show the human the difference between his weak body and that of a demonic beast, but her thought is left hanging, as her inner monologue reveals her true system-corrupted desire. She's actually just itching to see the human's muscles. Her goblin subordinates completely misread the situation. The lead goblin, impressed, shouts that it's a ruthless move and tells the others to watch and learn from their princess's cunning tactics. Ceres can only look on in shock as the shattered remnants of his armor fall to the ground, leaving his upper body completely exposed. Confused, Ceres watches as Yog's hand slowly reaches for his bare chest. All the while, Yog is fighting a desperate internal battle, telling herself to hold back and not get any closer to him. An unfamiliar feeling surges from the depths of Princess Yog's heart. She grits her teeth, desperately trying to fight it, telling herself over and over that she can hold back the impulse. But her struggle is in vain. A system window dings, announcing that her lust index has reached 100%. She has lost all control. Yog collapses on top of Ceres, who strains under her crushing weight, barely able to breathe. The demon princess's body presses down on him, leaving the human warrior completely immobilized. Pinned to the ground, Ceres curses his powerlessness. With his armor gone and his body trapped, he feels he doesn't stand a chance against the demonic beasts. Watching from the sidelines, Ceres' comrade, a young warrior named Bella, blushes beet red. She can't comprehend what she's seeing, wondering to herself if this bizarre spectacle can even be called a fight. Just as he's about to give up, Ceres has a realization. For the safety of the city, there is only one path forward. He must sacrifice himself for the greater good. With newfound determination, Ceres embraces his strange fate. "Come on," he yells, actively pulling the dazed princess towards him. He needs to increase his stats, his strength, no matter the cost to his dignity. The effect is immediate. A chaotic flood of system notifications erupts across the battlefield, leaving the goblin soldiers stunned as Ceres receives massive boosts to his agility, defense, concentration, perception, and intelligence. The boosts continue to pour in, skyrocketing his endurance, magic, and attack power to unimaginable levels. The bizarre scene reaches a fever pitch of chaotic energy and raw power, a spectacle of absurdity on the battlefield. Suddenly, the chaotic scene is interrupted by the arrival of a hulking figure in menacing black armor, his presence silencing the battlefield. The armored figure drops his sword with a loud clang. He speaks one sorrowful phrase, "My dear." It is none other than Yog's husband, the Demon King Bartley. Bartley is frozen, forced to witness the most compromising scene imaginable. His wife, the Demon Princess, drooling over a half-naked human, seemingly lost in ecstasy. The Demon King looks on from a distance as his wife, still entangled with Ceres, finally seems to notice his presence, uttering, "Your Majesty." Staring with glowing green eyes, Bartley can barely process what he's seeing. At the same time, a notification appears for Ceres. The system has detected that Demon King Bartley has suffered a severe mental blow. This triggers a massive bonus for Ceres. A new system window announces that all his bonus values will be doubled, and he instantly gains a level, bathing him in a golden aura. The Demon King's shock instantly turns into cataclysmic rage. He explodes in a violent green aura, screaming at the top of his lungs that he's going to kill Ceres. Yog panics and tries to explain that it's all a misunderstanding. Ceres, however, ignores the drama, coolly wondering if his newly doubled power level is enough to take on the enraged king. But Demon King Bartley is far beyond reason. He lets out a primal scream, his mind completely consumed by a singular, jealous fury. His rage boiling over, Bartley begins to vent his power on the battlefield itself, violently punching the ground and sending shockwaves of rubble flying everywhere. His tantrum over, Demon King Bartley focuses his rage, screaming, "Get away from her, bastard," as he brings his massive sword down in a devastating arc, sending Ceres flying. The force of the blow is so immense that the last remnants of Ceres' leg armor are blasted apart, the pieces scattering into the air. Ceres is slammed hard into the ground. His comrade, Bella, rushes to his side in a panic, crying out his name and asking if he's alright. With Bella's help, Ceres struggles to sit up. Though he took a direct hit from the Demon King, he grits his teeth and insists that he can still hold on. Looking back at his foe, Ceres is in awe of the Demon King's power. He realizes Bartley closed the distance instantly and possesses an unbelievably high level of attack power. The focus then shifts to a domestic dispute. The rank A Demon King Bartley confronts his wife, reminding her that she had promised she wouldn't cheat on him again. Yog trembles before her husband as he presses the issue, sorrowfully asking why she is doing this to him again after her last promise. In a shocking turn, Yog's demeanor flips from fear to fury. She screams at Bartley, blaming him entirely for the situation and demanding to know why he was so late. This absurd accusation leaves the mighty Demon King utterly speechless, able to do nothing more than stammer a confused HUH. And he isn't the only one. The bizarre logic of the princess has left everyone on the battlefield, down to the last goblin, completely and utterly bewildered. Yog presses her bizarre offensive, insisting that it was because he came late that she almost went down the wrong path. She turns his anger back on him, leaving the mighty king stammering. Getting right in his face, the princess aggressively demands to know what could have possibly taken her king so long to arrive. In an instant, the fearsome Demon King is reduced to an apologetic husband. He explains he was dealing with other humans, promising his angry wife that he's sorry and it won't happen again. The goblin soldiers, watching this domestic dispute, are deeply moved. One praises the king's willingness to apologize, while another is so intimidated by the complexities of love that he vows to stay single. A third is inspired to confess his feelings the next day. Seeing his chance amidst the chaos, Ceres decides it's time to go. He knows the Demon King is completely out of his league, and that his only option is to quietly slip away while their attention is elsewhere. As Ceres and Bella make their escape, the demon royal couple continues their argument in the background. Bella warns Ceres about Yog's wrath, and they quickly check on each other's injuries before pressing on. Yog has now shifted to playing the victim, crying crocodile tears about how a human was shamelessly seducing her. Completely duped, Bartley comforts her, agreeing that the human Ceres should take all the blame. Now convinced he's defending his wife's honor, Bartley's rage returns, directed solely at Ceres. He declares his intention to kill the human, turning to his wife for her permission. With a sly smile, Yog holds her husband's arm and eagerly gives him her blessing. She pours on the flattery, assuring him that he is her one true love and she could never fall for another man. As Yog continues to praise his domineering demeanor, Bartley finally spots the two humans making a run for it. He immediately turns his rage on his soldiers, roaring at the fools for why they didn't stop them. One of the goblin soldiers attempts to defend their inaction, explaining to the king that Princess Yog herself had ordered them to stay out of it. Furious at their incompetence, Bartley screams at the brainless fools and takes matters into his own hands, launching himself toward the escaping humans with explosive force. Ceres and Bella run for their lives, the terrifying whoosh of the Demon King rapidly closing the distance behind them. With a tremendous BM, a massive attack tears up the ground right behind them. Ceres and Bella turn to face their pursuer, bracing for impact as he arrives. Bartley lands, shoving Bella aside effortlessly. He confronts Ceres directly, roaring with rage and accusing the human bastard of daring to seduce his love. The Demon King unleashes his overwhelming power, sending Ceres flying with a single, powerful swing of his massive blade. Ceres can only scream in agony as the force of the Demon King's attack courses through his body. With a final thud, Ceres crashes to the ground, utterly defeated. From a distance, Princess Yog watches, a hint of surprise on her face. Gasping for breath on the ground, Ceres realizes the terrifying truth of his situation. He feels his ribs are broken, he can't defend against the Demon King's attacks, and he's too slow to even track his movements. Even with his power-up, he is completely outmatched. Looming over the fallen warrior, Demon King Bartley shows no mercy. He brings his sword down again and again in a furious barrage, intent on pulverizing the human who dared to touch his wife. Enveloped in a violent green aura, Demon King Bartley raises his sword for the final strike, roaring that he will tear Ceres apart. On the ground, Ceres can only hold up his own tiny blade in a futile gesture of defense. As the killing blow descends, the Demon King's face is a mask of pure fury. He screams out the reason for his rage, declaring that this is the price Ceres will pay for seducing his wife. In a moment of desperation, the protagonist Ceres makes up his mind. With no other options left, his only path forward is to keep leveling up, no matter the cost. As the formidable demon Princess Yog charges at him, Ceres activates his unique ability. A notification appears before his terrified eyes. System locked. A loud slap echoes through the battlefield. A sharp, clawed hand strikes with immense force. The hand belongs to Princess Yog, but her target isn't Ceres. She strikes her own husband, the Demon King Bartley, who is about to finish Ceres off. "Don't hurt him," she yells, much to everyone's confusion. Demon King Bartley is left utterly speechless. Having just arrived to find his wife in a compromising position with a human, he is now being slapped and scolded by her for trying to kill the very same man. His shock quickly turns to rage. Bartley takes a heavy, earth-shaking step forward, his killing intent now focused entirely on Ceres. Sensing his chance amidst the chaotic marital dispute, Ceres makes a bolt for it. He dashes away, questioning why the demon princess would protect him, but not wasting a second of the opportunity. Yog continues her bizarre act, taunting her dumbfounded husband. "My dear, so you do care about him," she says, sarcastically twisting the situation and further infuriating the jealous Demon King. As Ceres flees, a notification window brings welcome news. Demon King Bartley's rage and confusion have dealt him a severe mental blow, causing Ceres to level up. However, sensing the immense danger, Ceres knows a single level is not enough and wisely continues to run for his life. But the situation is about to get even more complicated. The system's influence now takes complete control of Princess Yog. With her eyes glowing red with desire, she admits to herself that she's losing control and is dying to get her hands on the human's body, setting the stage for another intervention. As Demon King Bartley prepares to chase after Ceres, his wife Yog grabs his arm. Now completely driven by the system's power, she desperately tells her husband not to go after the human. "You just said I was your one true love for this life," she exclaims, wanting Ceres for herself. Bartley, confused and enraged by his wife's behavior, effortlessly shakes off her grip, sending her stumbling back. Free from her husband's grasp, Yog gives in completely to her artificial desires. "I don't want to suppress my desire anymore," she declares and launches herself through the air towards Ceres. Ceres looks back in terror as the demonic princess flies directly at him with a crazed look in her eyes, shouting, "I'm gonna let it out." With incredible force, Yog tackles Ceres, pinning him firmly to the ground. From afar, a stunned Bartley watches as his wife lands on top of the human. More system notifications appear for Ceres, granting him a massive plus 120 to vitality and plus 140 to concentration from the impact. Ceres is completely overwhelmed, panting and blushing as his stats continue to skyrocket. With his agility, attack, and perception all receiving huge boosts, he realizes his only path to survival is to let Yog have her way with him. Completely misinterpreting the situation, Bartley tries to be the hero. He apologizes to Yog for being late and vows to kill the human he believes has seduced her, thinking it will break the spell. But to Bartley's horror, Yog's loyalty has completely shifted. Shielding Ceres protectively, she glares at her own husband with pure rage. "Piss off," she screams, delivering the ultimate rejection. "Leave us alone." This public rejection is the final, crippling blow. The Demon King's mind freezes, unable to process his wife's ultimate betrayal. All rage evaporates, leaving only a mask of pure, uncomprehending shock as his sanity teeters on the edge. His wife's betrayal is the final blow. An immense power erupts from Demon King Bartley as he screams in denial. The shock is so great that a system window announces his mental world has collapsed, instantly granting Ceres another 5 levels. Just then, Ceres' companion, the warrior Bella, arrives on the scene. Seeing Ceres pinned by the demon princess, she furiously charges forward, screaming, "Hands off Ceres, you shameless demonic beast." Bella leaps towards the entangled pair, sword ready to strike. Realizing she's no match for Yog, Ceres desperately yells for his friend to stay away. Annoyed by the interruption, Yog reacts instantly. Her long, sharp tail whips through the air as Ceres shouts a desperate warning. Before Bella can react, Yog's tail snaps around her, completely neutralizing her attack in midair. With a flick, Yog slams Bella against a cliff wall. With the nuisance dealt with, she eagerly turns her attention back to Ceres, an audible slurp escaping her lips. A sliver of Yog's true consciousness seems to surface. Panting heavily, she wonders how she became like this, feeling as though she has lost herself to this overwhelming desire. She continues to question the feeling, acknowledging that deep inside this forced compulsion, she can sense something else, a hint of joy. To her own shock, a part of her is actually enjoying this situation, and she can no longer deny it. The scene cuts back to Bartley, who witnesses his wife's look of pure joy. For the Demon King, this is an unacceptable reality. The sight shatters his sanity, and he roars in defiance of what he sees. Lie. It's all a lie. His denial turns into pure rage. "I won't accept it," Bartley screams, his voice filled with hatred as he curses his wife. Unleashing his fury, the Demon King smashes his fist into the cliffside, sending a shockwave of force and debris everywhere. Finally focusing his rage, Bartley raises his enormous sword, which glows with a venomous green energy. "I'm gonna kill both of you," he bellows, bringing the blade down upon his wife and the human. The whistle of the descending blade cuts through the air, and the imminent danger seems to momentarily snap Yog out of her trance. Acting on pure instinct, Yog dodges at the last second, narrowly avoiding the devastating attack. The massive sword stops dead in its tracks with a loud clang, hovering just inches from Yog's head. She pauses, looking up at the blade in confusion. As if compelled by an outside force, a command tells her to turn around. The truth is revealed. Bartley is stopping his own sword. Despite the betrayal and rage, he can't harm the woman he loves. "I still love her," he cries out in anguish, even as she continues to assault Ceres below him. The warring emotions become too much to bear. The desire for revenge clashes with his profound love until something inside the Demon King finally snaps. A sharp cracking sound echoes as his very psyche begins to shatter under the strain. With his mind shattered, the Demon King's control over his own immense power vanishes. His grip loosens, and his massive sword clatters to the ground, a symbol of his complete mental collapse. He is defeated, not by an external foe, but by his own heart. As Bartley kneels in defeat, a volatile green energy builds within his armor. A system notification delivers a dire warning. The Demon King has completely collapsed and is about to self-destruct. The sight of her husband about to explode finally snaps Yog out of her lust-driven haze. "Bartley, what are you doing?" she yells, genuinely concerned. Meanwhile, his complete mental breakdown grants Ceres another 3 levels. Seeing their master about to detonate, the Demon King's minions panic and decide to flee for their lives, abandoning their posts to escape the blast. As Bartley's body begins to hiss and implode, Ceres receives a crucial notification. He has reached level 10, unlocking the skill function. Wasting no time, Ceres immediately puts his new power to the test, drawing his now glowing sword with newfound determination. He unleashes a powerful slash against the unstable Demon King. His new skill, Instant Slash, allows him to teleport directly to his target and attack. Ceres appears in a flash of light behind the convulsing Bartley and strikes a decisive blow. Yog cries out in shock as the attack lands. Incredibly, the blow stabilizes the Demon King's energy, and the system confirms. Self-destruction halted. Ceres stands confidently, admiring his empowered sword. He realizes the potential of his strange ability and looks forward to gaining even more skills as he levels up. With the crisis averted, Yog looks at her collapsed husband not with relief, but with annoyance. She complains about how he overreacted, calling him a weak-hearted guy, and implying this isn't the first time he's lost his composure. But Bartley isn't finished. In a final act of despair, he lunges and grabs Yog, determined to take her with him in the self-destruction. Yog is caught completely off guard, screaming in shock as her husband holds her in a deadly embrace. Meanwhile, Bella, still pinned to the cliff by Yog's tail, struggles helplessly, demanding to be let go. "Yog, you should keep your word and go to hell with me," Bartley says grimly, his body about to explode. As he speaks, Bella manages to catch the tail and free herself. All of Yog's previous arrogance vanishes, replaced by pure terror. She screams, struggling against his grip, and pleading for anyone to save her from her husband's murder-suicide pact. Just in time, Ceres leaps in, his empowered sword slicing through the air. With a clean slash, he severs the arm that was holding Yog captive, freeing her from the Demon King's grasp. As she leaps away, Bartley reaches for her with his remaining hand, his voice filled with anguish as he cries out her name one last time. Consumed by his explosive energy and despair, the Demon King unleashes his final moments of fury on the cliffside, punching it relentlessly. The cliff face shatters under the onslaught, and the ground gives way. Both Yog and the recently freed Bella are sent plummeting into the dark abyss below. As they fall, Ceres manages to grab both Bella and Yog. But the fall and the trauma of the battle cause Yog's powerful form to shatter, her body breaking apart in a flash of purple light. Something small lands with a soft thud on the cold stone floor of a chamber deep below. Ceres slowly wakes up, aching all over. Seeing the stone walls around him, he wonders if they've fallen all the way to the bottom of the dungeon. He then notices a small, strange creature resting on his chest, much to his confusion. A system window pops up and explains the unbelievable situation. The creature is Princess Yog, who has reverted to her original form, a tiny jade lizard with almost no health and 0 magic points. Before he can process this, the tiny, defenseless lizard scurries off his chest and quickly hides inside his pants for warmth and safety. A few feet away, Bella groans as she pushes herself up. Still dazed from the fall, the first thing she does is look for her companion. Ceres is then hit with another surprise. A system window announces that Demon King Bartley has been defeated and offers him a reward, the map of Nay Dungeon. With blood dripping from his nose, Ceres lies on the ground, contemplating the dangerous implications of using this new map. His strategic thoughts are cut short as Bella leans over him, having finally found him on the floor. Startled, Bella trips and falls on top of Ceres, quickly stammering an apology. However, she notices the strange, glowing reward window floating in the air. Out of curiosity, she reaches out and clicks it. The map of the dungeon instantly activates, displaying a detailed holographic layout of the surrounding area. Ceres stares in awe. The map clearly marks all the paths, traps, resources, and even the location of the boss's room. He grabs Bella in excitement, exclaiming that they can now head directly for the boss room without any trouble. Confused, Bella asks what he's talking about, since she can't see the map. Ceres quickly plays it off, realizing the system is visible only to him. With newfound confidence, Ceres helps Bella to her feet, and the two decide to press forward. But suddenly, a sickening pulse echoes, seemingly from inside Ceres' own body. His eyes widen in pain and shock as a foreign power surges within him. Ceres collapses to the ground, violently throwing up a stream of dark purple energy. Bella rushes to his side, horrified and confused by the sudden attack from within. The dark energy quickly spreads. Purple veins crawl up Ceres' hand as his fingertip begins to crack and glow with a malevolent aura. He screams in pure agony, his body convulsing on the floor from the intense pain. He instinctively grabs his afflicted hand, but it's no use. The corruption is too powerful, and his fingertip begins to melt away. The pain sends him into a wild frenzy, thrashing on the ground as a horrified Bella looks on, unsure of what to do. In a moment of desperate clarity, Ceres tries to perform a gruesome amputation, slamming his own back and arm against a sharp rock to sever the corrupted flesh. Bella snaps into action, grabbing Ceres to stop him from tearing himself apart. She pulls him into a tight embrace, trying to restrain him. She sees his back is bleeding and his skin is burning hot. As he struggles, she grabs his corrupted hand to hold it still. The moment her armored gauntlet touches his finger, the dark energy sizzles and is drawn out of his body, seemingly absorbed or neutralized by the metal. The violent energy recedes as quickly as it came, leaving his fingertip blackened and numb, but finally still. The immediate danger has passed. The pain finally subsides, and with a faint sigh of relief, Ceres goes limp. Utterly spent from the ordeal, he can only rest in Bella's arms as his body begins to recover. Resting in Bella's arms, Ceres slowly catches his breath. He weakly reassures her that he's fine. He confirms to himself that the terrifying corruption has indeed stopped. With some effort, he sits up, trying to show Bella that the danger has passed. But Bella points to his hand in horror, her voice filled with panic. She asks what happened to him, why his finger looks like it was melted off. Ceres looks down at his blackened fingertip and solemnly gives her the grim truth. I'm poisoned. His mind flashes back to the origin of his curse. Half a year ago, his city fell under a devastating attack by demonic beasts. He remembers being a powerless civilian, running for his life through the rubble as a powerful warrior from the guild fought off a horde of demons. The warrior was desperately protecting a mysterious red box from the demons, who were trying to claim it. A hulking demonic beast raised its massive axe, preparing to end the fight for the box with one final blow. With a devastating slash, the beast's axe tore through the warrior's defenses, cutting them down. The battle for the box was lost in an instant, and the raw power of the blow radiated outwards. The sheer force of the demon's attack created a massive shockwave, sending the powerless Ceres flying through the air. He was thrown across the street, landing hard amidst a pile of rubble and debris. Injured and trapped, all he could do was hide and watch the terrifying scene unfold. The demon held up the box, but the warrior's last stand had managed to damage it. A strange, dark purple liquid began to drip from a crack in its surface. Suddenly, the liquid vaporized and a gruesome, bloody rain began to fall from the sky. From his hiding spot, Ceres was overwhelmed by a pungent, nauseating smell. In the distance, the demonic beasts began to scream as the rain touched their skin. The rain was terrifyingly corrosive. The body of the fallen guild warrior began to melt and dissolve as soon as it made contact. Even the powerful demonic beasts weren't immune. The axe-wielding monster shrieked in agony as its own body started melting away. Buried under the rocks, Ceres was spared a direct hit from the corrosive rain. But it wasn't enough. The searing pain on his exposed back and the toxic fumes he inhaled were enough to seal his fate. He had been poisoned. The flashback ends with him waking up in a hospital bed. There, the doctor delivered the devastating verdict. The poison was unknown and incurable. At most, he had 1 year left to live. Then, as he lay in the hospital bed despairing, a mysterious message appeared before him. It was a glimmer of hope. The blood of an immortal demon could cure him. Ceres was stunned, having never seen anything like this strange, floating window before. The system then made him an offer he couldn't refuse. Bind with it, and it would give him a clue to finding the cure. With no other options and his life on the line, he accepted the system's offer without hesitation. Upon binding, the system provided the crucial clue. The blood of the immortal demon was kept in a place called Ne Dungeon. Back in the present, the flashback ends. Ceres finishes his story, explaining to Bella that his only hope for a cure lies within this very dungeon. Now understanding his desperate situation, Bella agrees to help. Using the map, Ceres finds a nearby room with supplies, and they head off together. They walk through the massive, destroyed chamber they landed in, heading towards their first objective. Meanwhile, in another part of the dungeon, a heavily armed squad of warriors moves in tight formation down a long, eerily quiet hallway. The silence is shattered by a sudden crack from the ceiling. The lead knight looks up in alarm, thrusting his shield upward in a desperate, instinctual reaction. The warrior's eyes go wide with shock as he realizes what the sound was. A trap springs from the ceiling, a massive spike that impales the shield bearer in an instant. The squad shouts in alarm, realizing too late that they have walked into a deadly ambush. The knight's shield shatters as blood spurts from his helmet, his life extinguished in a single brutal moment. As chaos erupts, a commanding voice cuts through the panic. Vice Captain Tyler, a B-rank warrior, steps forward and orders his squad to halt, bringing the chapter to a tense close. Inside a dark, gothic corridor, the members of the Slayer squad are frozen with fear. Having already lost comrades to the dungeon's tricks, they know that any sudden movement could trigger yet another deadly trap. The knights are overwhelmed by despair. Even Claude, who had the strongest defense among them, was killed instantly. With their cannon fodder team already sacrificed, they have no one left to clear the treacherous path ahead. Despite the hopelessness, one knight declares they've come too far to turn back now. With a resolute clack of armored boots, someone steps forward, unwilling to give up. The one who steps up is the A-rank captain of the Slayer squad, Hills. However, he isn't volunteering himself. Instead, he coldly points and gives a cruel order. The lowest-ranked member must go first. Without hesitation, Captain Hills shoves a terrified D-rank member, Maxwell, forward. Maxwell stumbles, pushed out from the relative safety of the group to become a human minesweeper. Hills' shadow looms over the horrified Maxwell, who has fallen to his knees. He orders the young man to walk forward and find the right path, using his life to map out the traps. As Maxwell trembles, unable to move, Hills places his sword near his face, reminding him of the fatal consequences of disobeying a direct order. Maxwell is trapped between two certain deaths. An extreme close-up on Maxwell's face reveals the pure terror of a man facing his imminent end. Sweat pours down his face as his eyes widen in absolute panic. Just as Maxwell resigns himself to his fate, a blonde-haired knight suddenly intervenes, pleading with Hills to wait. He presents a magical, arrow-like device, offering a glimmer of hope. He explains it can bounce between surfaces to detect at least one trap, giving Maxwell a fighting chance. However, that glimmer of hope is instantly extinguished. With a cold, swift slash of his sword, Captain Hills destroys the device before it can even be used. The life-saving item is shattered, and with it, any chance Maxwell had. The shattered pieces of the magical arrow fall to the ground, and with them, Maxwell's last shred of hope. He can only watch, his face a mask of utter despair, as his only chance at survival is destroyed. Captain Hills then turns his attention to the blonde knight who dared to intervene. He brandishes his sword, threatening to kill him if he ever tries such a useless act of compassion again, cementing his cruel authority over the squad. The blonde knight lowers his head in silent defeat. He has done all he can, but against his captain's tyranny, he is powerless to save his comrade. With the dissenter silenced, Hills once again focuses on Maxwell. He coldly orders the young man, whose legs are trembling uncontrollably, to get up and continue his death march. Paralyzed by sheer terror, Maxwell's entire body trembles. All his courage has left him. Seeing this, his captain simply screams at him to go. Finally, with no other choice, Maxwell submits. He slowly lifts his boot, preparing to take his first step into the deadly, unknown expanse of the trapped corridor. With grim resolve, Maxwell plants his foot firmly on the next tile. The heavy step echoes through the hall, each sound marking a gamble with his own life. He survived. Maxwell lets out a shaky breath, sweat pouring down his face. The first tile was safe, but the momentary relief is immediately replaced by the crushing anxiety of what comes next. His mind races as he stares at the grid of floor tiles before him. Which one should he step on next? This one, or that one? Every potential step is a gamble, and the mental strain of the decision is immense. Seeing Maxwell hesitate, Captain Hills shouts impatiently from the back of the room. With no empathy for the torment he's inflicting, he yells at Maxwell to stop wasting time and just go. Spurred on by his captain's cruel shouts, Maxwell forces his trembling legs to move once more, stepping onto another tile. The psychological torment is written plainly on his face. He's drenched in sweat, his features twisted in a mask of pure anguish as he endures the slow torture. He takes another heavy step, and miraculously, he's safe again. In the background, Captain Hills watches impassively. Maxwell pants, catching his breath after another successful gamble. But Hills offers no real encouragement, only a sarcastic nice one. before immediately ordering him to keep going. The relentless pressure finally shatters his nerves. Tears stream down Maxwell's face as the certainty of his fate consumes him. "I'm gonna die. I'm definitely gonna die," he gasps. His mind snaps. Overwhelmed by a tidal wave of panic, he realizes he cannot take another step towards his own execution. His will to go on evaporates. In a single, decisive moment, his survival instinct takes over. He can't go forward. With a soft rustle of his armor, he begins to turn. All discipline is gone. Maxwell makes a frantic bolt for safety, screaming that he doesn't want to die and just wants to go home. But in this place, retreat is not an option. The moment Maxwell turns to flee, his act of defiance triggers a trap. A sinister clack sounds from the very tile he just abandoned. Instantly, a spear of golden light erupts from the floor with a sickening thwack, impaling him from below. The force of the blow lifts him clean off his feet, his life extinguished in a flash. The rest of the squad watches in sheer horror. Maxwell's death reveals a terrifying new truth. The attacks can come from below, from any direction, and they materialize so quickly that dodging is impossible. Their situation has gone from dire to completely hopeless. Maxwell's lifeless body falls to the cold, hard floor with a heavy thump. While his comrades are frozen in shock, Captain Hill stands over the corpse, utterly unfazed. For him, the loss of a D-rank subordinate is nothing more than a minor inconvenience. After the path is cleared, Captain Hills arrogantly orders the lowest-ranked member of the expedition to step forward, intending to use him as a disposable pawn. Suddenly, a massive, ornate door at the far end of the Great Hall begins to open on its own, stunning Captain Hills, who is standing with his back to it. A soldier alerts his leader, shouting, "Captain Hills!" The door is open. The captain turns around, his expression hardening as he assesses the unexpected situation. From the now open doorway, a young warrior with brown hair cautiously peeks into the grand hall, his expression one of surprise and apprehension. The warrior Ceres finds himself and his teammate, a blonde woman named Bella, inexplicably floating up the side of the massive structure. He wonders in confusion how they could have ended up there. One of Captain Hills's men spots the survivors ascending the wall and yells out in shock, "Captain, they're from the bait team." Captain Hills is furious. The bait team was meant to be wiped out. He internally fumes, wondering if this survivor disobeyed his orders. Meanwhile, another soldier cries out in relief, "Bella, thank God you're all right." His face contorted with rage, Captain Hills screams at the lone survivor, his voice echoing in the hall. "Ceres, you bastard. Why are you still alive?" In the face of the captain's seething rage, Ceres remains utterly unfazed, looking back with a calm, almost detached expression as he simply utters, "Oh." This nonchalant response only serves to pour fuel on the fire, pushing Hills over the edge. To understand this deep-seated hatred, the scene flashes back to one day before the expedition. Here, a furious Captain Hills confronts a defiant Ceres, who stands his ground, demanding, "Tell me." This was the moment their conflict truly began. The flashback continues, revealing the source of the conflict. In a fit of rage, Captain Hills holds a blade to Ceres' throat, demanding to know how he knew the color of his wife's underwear while his subordinates try to restrain him. Ceres, with a straight face, provides a ridiculous explanation. He claims he's honing his battle instincts, a skill that allows him to perceive the color of everything around him. Unconvinced, the enraged Captain Hills accuses Ceres of being involved with his wife, Shirley, threatening to kill him on the spot as his men desperately try to calm him down. Feigning outrage, Ceres slaps his own chest, declaring he won't stand for the insult to his integrity and that he will prove the legitimacy of his strange ability. To everyone's shock, Ceres proceeds to use his power to correctly identify the underwear situation of Hills' subordinates. One wears pink, another none at all, and two others are wearing a matching pair. Humiliated and enraged, one of the subordinates urges Captain Hills to kill Ceres for the embarrassment he's caused. Hills remains silent, his face a mask of cold fury. However, a more rational subordinate advises against it, pointing out that killing him in the city is illegal and would cause problems if the body were found. He then asks Hills for an alternative plan. The subordinate devises a sinister solution, assigns Ceres to the bait team for the next mission, a position from which no one is expected to return. This, he reasons, is a legal way of ensuring Ceres' death. The flashback concludes, returning to the present moment inside the dungeon. Ceres, now fully geared, calmly assesses the situation. He thinks to himself that this was just a detour to change equipment, and he didn't expect to run into the Slayer squad, sarcastically concluding they must be lost. His inner monologue is cut short as Captain Hills points at him from across the vast hall. Reasserting his dominance, Hills bellows, "Ceres, you come here." This is an order from the captain of the Slayer squad. His tone makes his deadly intentions perfectly clear. As Captain Hills gives the order, Ceres immediately understands the captain's cruel intent. to once again use a lower-ranked member as a disposable minesweeper. From the side, Bella urgently warns him not to move. The blonde-haired soldier, Tyler, tries to reason with the captain. He points out that if the bait team can make it across alive, the main squad can simply follow their path, avoiding any further risk to their own members. With a sinister smirk, Captain Hills dismisses the idea. He claims that since they've already lost dozens of valuable members to reach this point, they cannot afford to turn back now, twisting the loss of life into a justification for more. Hills then turns on Tyler, coldly threatening that if he dislikes the decision, he'll be the next one sent to clear the way. The threat works, silencing any further dissent. Turning his attention back to Ceres, Hills mockingly brings up the finely tuned instincts Ceres claimed to have. He says it's time to put that skill to use for the team's benefit, reminding him of the grim consequences for disobeying an order. A notification sound rings as a system window appears before Ceres. MAD activated. With his secret weapon now online, Ceres calmly accepts the suicidal mission, simply replying, "Okay." Bella rushes to Ceres' side, pleading with him not to go, convinced the path is a death trap. But Ceres reassures her, stating that he must obey the captain's order, but that he will be fine. As the entire Slayer squad watches, Ceres takes his first step onto the trapped corridor. An observer notes that he moved forward without a single moment of hesitation. The onlooking squad members are in utter disbelief, murmuring amongst themselves. They can't believe this F-rank warrior is seriously attempting to navigate a death trap corridor using what they can only assume is simple intuition. But Ceres isn't using intuition. A system window, invisible to everyone else, dings and provides his first instruction. 3 spaces forward and 2 to the left. He now has his cheat code to survive. Following his system's instructions, Ceres confidently takes 3 consecutive steps forward onto the trapped floor. The onlooking squad is stunned that he remains unharmed. Captain Hill scoffs, attributing it to dumb luck, and grimly predicts that his fortune won't last much longer. Perfectly executing the system's command, Ceres then pivots, preparing to take 2 steps to the left. His sudden change in direction sends another wave of shock through the squad members, who can't believe he's still moving, and more importantly, still alive. As his foot lands, one of the soldiers panics, thinking a trap has finally been triggered, but another quickly points out that he's still safe, for now. As Ceres continues his unfaltering walk, the squad struggles to comprehend what's happening. They rationalize that it must be luck. It's impossible for a low-rank member to have such valuable information about the path when they lost so many elite members just to get this far. Ceres then makes a sudden leap, a move so reckless that the squad is certain his luck has finally run out and he has jumped to his doom. He lands with a slight wobble, feigning a loss of balance to make the death-defying feat look like a clumsy, near-fatal misstep. Captain Hills is rendered speechless. He stares in utter disbelief, unable to understand how the jump didn't trigger a single trap, completely foiling his plan. Once again, the system chimes in with a new, simple instruction for Ceres' next move. 5 spaces forward. Following the system's guidance, Ceres continues his steady pace, knowing he is just a few steps away from clearing the deadly corridor. The Slayer squad watches in stunned silence. Captain Hills can barely believe his eyes, muttering under his breath that the F-rank warrior is actually going to make it across. Ceres takes the final, decisive step, landing on solid ground right next to the body of a fallen comrade from the bait team, a grim reminder of the fate he just escaped. With a triumphant smirk, Ceres steps directly in front of the dumbfounded Captain Hills, just as a cheeky system notification cheerfully announces his arrival. The squad members crowd around, their minds reeling. They can't accept what they've just witnessed, still debating whether he survived by sheer luck or if he genuinely possesses some kind of intuitive trap-sensing ability. Looking Captain Hills dead in the eye, Ceres smugly repeats his earlier excuse, stating that his training is what got him through, and pointedly adds that he has nothing to do with Hills' wife, Shirley. Humiliated and enraged, Hills snaps and swings his sword at Ceres. With a casual clang, Ceres effortlessly blocks the attack, letting out a bored sigh as if dealing with a child's tantrum. Internally, Captain Hills seethes. He refuses to believe it was anything but sheer, dumb luck. He clings to the belief that Ceres is just a fortunate fool whose luck is bound to run out. Since Ceres has proven his uncanny ability, Hills makes a decision. He declares that from this point forward, Ceres will be the one to lead the way. And so, the Slayer squad proceeds deeper into the dungeon, now following the F-rank warrior they had intended to sacrifice, with Ceres reluctantly taking the lead. While leading the way, Ceres spots a pair of peculiar purple mushrooms. His system immediately chimes in, identifying them as mustard mushrooms, beneficial for demonic beasts, but a potent laxative for humans. An opportunity for revenge has just presented itself. Putting on a show, Ceres looks back towards the group, pretending to be concerned for a teammate. He quietly muses to himself. Is she hungry? Maybe I can get some mushrooms for her. With his plan in motion, Ceres reaches down and carefully plucks the 2 mustard mushrooms from the stone floor. He then begins an elaborate act, sniffing the mushroom and drooling as if it were the most delicious thing he'd ever seen. He wonders aloud if, despite it being inedible, maybe just a little lick would be okay. The bait is taken. Captain Hills walks up behind the crouching Ceres and aggressively demands to know what he is holding. Ceres innocently replies, "Mushroom," before Hills slaps his hand away, yelling, "Give it to me." As Ceres feigns reluctance, Captain Hills snatches the mushroom and greedily shoves it into his mouth, arrogantly declaring that all resources found within the dungeon belong to him and his Slayer squad. While chewing, Hills menacingly pokes Ceres in the chest, reminding him that he can't take anything without permission before ordering him back to the front of the line. Suddenly, Ceres' demeanor completely changes. He becomes enthusiastically obedient, vowing to follow the captain's orders without question. This abrupt shift in attitude makes Hills suspicious. Meanwhile, at the back of the group, a healer tends to Bella's injuries. The vice captain, Tyler, apologizes to her, saying he didn't know she was assigned to the ill-fated bait team and that he could have had her reassigned. Bella looks down, solemnly confessing, "I volunteered for that team." Tyler reacts with utter shock, unable to understand why she would willingly join a suicide squad. The reason for her decision becomes clear as she recalls a recent moment. Ceres, using his uncanny knowledge, pointing out the correct path to the final boss, proving he knew more about the dungeon than anyone else. She chose to follow him. Back in the present, the healer finishes her work on Bella. "I fixed your broken bone," she says. Bella quietly thanks her as Tyler looks on, still concerned. Tyler gets Bella's attention, his tone serious as he prepares to lecture her on her reckless decision. He explains the harsh reality of the guild structure. The bait team is composed of the lowest-ranked members, used as nothing more than cannon fodder to clear paths. To him, joining that team to protect an F-rank warrior like Ceres was a suicidal act. He pleads with her not to be so foolish again, urging her to stay by his side. As a high-ranking B-rank warrior, he insists that he is the one who can truly protect her. The scene cuts back to the front of the group, where Ceres and Captain Hills stand before the final door. Ceres declares it safe, but Hills, ever paranoid and cruel, orders Ceres to be the one to open it, much to his shock. Hills taunts him, stating he won't risk any of his capable team members, directly insulting Ceres as disposable. He impatiently orders him to stop wasting time and open the door. With a decisive thud, Ceres plants his hands firmly on the great door. The moment for his revenge has arrived, and all he needs to do is push. As the heavy door begins to give way, Ceres glances back at the squad, his face a mask of serious intensity. The door is opening. "Everyone stay alert," he yells, his voice deliberately sharp, ratcheting up the tension in the already nervous squad. Just as the tension reaches its peak, Captain Hills feels a sudden, violent rumbling in his stomach. The mustard mushroom is beginning to take effect. Seizing the perfectly timed moment, Ceres shoves the heavy door open and yells, "Watch out for the traps." His warning sends a jolt of fear through the already on-edge squad. Ceres steps alone into the darkness beyond the doorway, disappearing from the squad's sight. The rest of the Slayer squad draws their weapons, bracing for an attack. They shout warnings to each other, fully expecting a monster or a volley of arrows to erupt from the darkness. But instead of a monster, a strange, foul odor drifts out from the captain's direction. A nearby soldier sniffs the air in confusion. Hills panics, realizing with horror what has just happened. An ominous, single footstep echoes from the dark room where Ceres disappeared. The squad sees Ceres standing just inside the threshold, apparently unharmed. Trying to maintain his composure, Hills barks an order at Ceres for a report, all while desperately clenching his buttocks and cursing the catastrophic timing of his upset stomach. A horrifying realization dawns on Hills. The mushroom is the culprit. He knows that if he moves too much, the rumbling in his stomach will lead to a much more explosive and humiliating outcome. Playing his part to perfection, Ceres looks back with a malicious grin. He delivers a false report designed to maximize the chaos. "From what I can see, there are traps everywhere." Ceres takes a single, loud step back toward the squad, a deliberate signal that the escape has begun. He immediately breaks into a sprint, yelling for everyone to follow him. In the background, a panicked Captain Hills shouts a contradictory order to walk, not run, a command born of pure, desperate self-preservation. Ceres' feigned panic works perfectly. The entire squad begins to flee, completely confused. They have no idea what they're running from, only that the act of running itself means they must be in danger. The jostling from the panicked run proves to be too much for Captain Hills. An unmistakable, explosive peyote sound erupts from his armor. A wave of horror washes over the captain's face as he realizes, with dawning despair, that he can no longer hold back the catastrophic effects of the mustard mushroom. The resulting odor hits the squad full force. In their heightened state of alert, they immediately mistake the smell for a deadly trap, shouting that they've sprung a poison gas trap and must run. To save face, Hills leans into their delusion. Blushing with shame but desperate to hide the truth, he screams at them to run for their lives, or they'll all be poisoned. After the chaos subsides and the air has cleared, Ceres props himself against a wall, putting on a convincing act of being exhausted from the narrow escape. His act is cut short as a seething Captain Hills stomps over to him. Panting, Ceres looks up to face the captain's barely contained fury. Hills grabs him, his face dark with suspicion. He accuses Ceres of knowing what the mushroom did and deliberately inciting the panic. Ceres, however, plays dumb, asking with feigned innocence what could possibly be wrong with the mushroom. Seeing the captain's distress, Ceres feigns concern, grabbing Hills's arm as if to steady him while calmly denying any knowledge of the mushroom's effects. One of the oblivious subordinates, thinking the captain is merely tired from the battle, brings over a large rock for him to sit on. This well-meaning gesture only adds to Hills's deep humiliation. His pride shattered, Hills explodes in rage. He violently kicks the helpful subordinate away and orders the bewildered squad to stop dawdling and move out immediately. His anger then swings back to its primary target. He confronts Ceres, brandishing his sword and screaming, "And you!" Hills threatens to kill Ceres if he dares to run or pull any more stunts. Ceres, however, simply smiles and agrees, his cheerful obedience further enraging the humiliated captain. As they proceed, the camera focuses on a single floor tile engraved with the image of a coiled serpent, hinting at a new type of danger. Ceres calmly warns his team not to step on the engraved tile. Unseen by the warriors, a monstrous, dormant beast stirs in the darkness below the floor, disturbed by their presence. Now in a large, open cavern, Ceres continues to lead the way, pointing towards their final destination. Shadows move in the darkness around them. The glowing red eyes of giant, monstrous creatures, a huge serpent and a scorpion-like beast, watch the squad as they pass. A new warning flashes from Ceres' system. Do not touch. His eyes are drawn to a massive, sharp stalactite hanging from the ceiling. He correctly deduces that this must be the final trap before the boss room. Captain Hills grows more and more suspicious. He can't understand why the path has suddenly become so safe, with no traps or demonic beasts in sight. He briefly entertains the thought that Ceres has been here before, but his prejudice against lower-ranked warriors makes him dismiss it. To him, it's impossible for a weak F-rank like Ceres to have survived this far on his own. His thoughts are interrupted as Ceres turns and announces that they are approaching the final boss's room. A sinister thought crosses Hills's mind. With the boss room ahead, the F-rank warrior's usefulness as a minesweeper is over. Regardless of whether it was luck or skill, Hills decides that Ceres' time is up. They come to a stop directly beneath a massive, pointed stalactite. This is where Hills decides to make his move. Believing Ceres is distracted, Hills draws his sword, channeling glowing blue energy into it for a sudden, decisive strike. He swings his energized blade, aiming to strike Ceres down from behind. But the attack doesn't hit Ceres. Instead, the arc of energy flies past him and slams directly into the base of the massive stalactite hanging from the ceiling. The captain's attack strikes the massive stalactite, shattering its base. As the ceiling begins to fracture and groan, Ceres looks up, his shock turning to horror as he realizes Hills didn't miss. He deliberately sprung the final trap. A wicked grin spreads across Hills's face as the huge rock begins its descent. To him, the plan is perfect. It's only natural for an F-rank warrior to die in a dungeon accident. No one would ever suspect foul play. The boss, a monstrous puppet scorpion, is awakened by the captain's attack. Its massive tail slams down, and Ceres barely manages to dive out of the way. The creature's stinger shoots forward like a spinning projectile, a blur of dark energy. The force of the attack knocks Captain Hills's sword from his hand, and he catches it with a look of pure shock. Before he can recover, the scorpion's massive tail whips around and slaps Hills with tremendous force, sending him flying across the cavern as his squad members cry out his name. The newly awakened boss continues its rampage, slamming into the ground and sending the terrified squad members scattering. The monster's onslaught triggers a chain reaction, and the entire cavern begins to collapse. As massive boulders fall from the ceiling, Ceres realizes with horror that the whole chamber is coming down. Ceres desperately scrambles for cover as the cave-in intensifies, trapping him amidst the falling debris. Captain Hills, having survived the initial blow, picks himself up from the rubble. His only thought is of his own survival, relieved that he managed to block the worst of the attack with his sword. The dust begins to settle, revealing Ceres trapped and isolated behind a wall of fallen rock. As he assesses his hopeless situation, a calm, cold voice cuts through the silence from above. Why is there still a human here? Looking up, Ceres is met with the sight of a mysterious woman with pointed ears descending gracefully from the darkness. He has survived his captain's betrayal and the dungeon's collapse, only to be confronted by a powerful, unknown entity who now stands between him and the unfolding chaos. The mysterious woman looks down at the scene of chaos, the trapped human, the rampaging monster, with an expression of pure contempt, uttering a single dismissive phrase. So disgusting. The scene shifts to the other side of the rubble, where the rest of the Slayer squad has engaged the puppet scorpion. A volley of magical arrows rains down on the monstrous boss. The agile creature deftly dodges the assault, scrambling up a rock face to evade the incoming projectiles. As the squad continues its attack, the arrows harmlessly bounce off the scorpion's thick, armored carapace. Now thoroughly angered, the beast lets out a furious roar, its face glowing with green energy. The puppet scorpion unleashes its own counterattack, a powerful wave of dark energy that blasts towards the squad. The team's tanks brace themselves, raising their shields and struggling to hold their ground against the powerful blast. The sheer scale of the monster is overwhelming as it looms over the small, embattled group of warriors. A system window reveals the creature's identity. AB+ level threat, the puppet scorpion. The name confirms the squad's worst fears, but also adds a new mystery. It is the puppet of someone named Sathel. With their captain incapacitated, Vice Captain Tyler steps up to command the battered squad. He shouts for the tanks to form a line, their large shields the only hope of stopping the monster's rampage. Following Tyler's command, the shield bearers slam their massive tower shields into the ground, forming a solid defensive wall against the monster's advance. The tanks brace for impact, digging in their heels as they prepare to receive the full force of the B+ rank boss. With the front line holding the beast's attention, Tyler orders the archers in the rear to open fire. The squad's archers draw their bows in unison, unleashing a volley of magical, glowing arrows at the monster. But the attack is useless. Tyler watches in horror as the puppet scorpion's powerful aura alone deflects every single arrow. The beast stands completely unscathed, proving that the squad's conventional attacks are having no effect whatsoever. Having recovered from his fall, Captain Hills tries to rally the demoralized soldiers, shouting at them to attack together and not be afraid of a single beast. Meanwhile, on the other side of the rockfall, Ceres hears a rustling sound in the darkness ahead, wondering if he's about to face another monster alone. His question is answered by a flash of light from the darkness, as a sharp projectile is launched directly at him at incredible speed. Ceres dodges back, but not fast enough. The projectile, the scorpion's stinger, misses his body but slams into the ground, its sharp point piercing his cloak and pinning him against the wall of rubble. Pinned against the wall of rubble, Ceres examines the sharp appendage that has him trapped. The rock behind him cracks under the immense pressure, yet his focus is purely analytical as he tries to understand the nature of the beast, wondering aloud, is this the tale? Continuing his lone advance through the dungeon, Ceres is suddenly ambushed. A massive, purple-armored scorpion puppet lunges through the air, its sharp tail poised to strike. The puppet's head is shown up close, its menacing eyes glowing with a toxic green light as it lets out a deafening howl that reverberates through the cavern. Ceres, unfazed, dodges the initial assault and retaliates with incredible speed. He unleashes a powerful attack that clashes violently against the puppet's armored body. The sheer force of the impact sends Ceres sliding back, his armored boot grinding against the stone floor as he expertly manages the recoil. Instead of retreating, Ceres closes the distance. He takes a firm step forward, seemingly preparing to face the giant puppet in close-quarters combat. With a look of fierce determination, Ceres draws back his fist, channeling his power. He yells out, declaring the strength of his next move, a punch with 3,190 attack points. Wham! Ceres' fist smashes into the scorpion puppet's chest with immense force, creating a powerful shockwave of energy upon impact. The punch is so devastating that it tears straight through the puppet's armored shell. Ceres emerges on the other side as the monster's body begins to shatter from the inside out. The battle is over in an instant. The scorpion puppet's segmented tail hits the ground with a dull thud, its connection severed as its body disintegrates. A final clang echoes as the lifeless tail settles amongst the scattered metal fragments. But the silence of victory is short-lived, as Ceres' fight is far from over. Just as Ceres stands over the remains of his foe, a voice echoes from the darkness above. It condescendingly congratulates him for smashing one of the scorpion puppets in a single blow. Breathing heavily, Ceres knows he can't waste energy on pointless battles. His priority is the antidote in the boss room. He has a map and plans to find a detour to escape this new, unseen threat. The puppet's master reveals herself. A status window identifies her as Sathel, an A-level demonic beast. She remarks that it doesn't matter her puppet was destroyed, as she was going to throw away anything touched by disgusting humans anyway. Sathel looks away with contempt, casually mentioning that she had wanted the puppet to rip his head off. But now, she'll have to do it herself. Ceres is taken aback, realizing he's facing a high-level demonic beast. He retorts defiantly, telling her that his head isn't something she can just rip off with her bare hands. Sappho lets out a questioning, huh, amused by his audacity. She looks down on him with utter disdain, stating she would never touch his disgusting body with her hands. A close-up shows Sappho's cruel, yellow eyes narrowing. A faint energy begins to swirl around her fingertips as she gazes at Ceres with predatory intent. She reveals that his friends are also fighting for their lives, mentioning she can kill the humans out there with one hand. A quick panel shows Captain Hill's team battling another scorpion puppet. Looming over him, Sappho coldly lays out her plan. First, she will kill him. Then, she will move on to slaughter every human outside. That threat is the final straw. Ceres' plan to flee vanishes, replaced by pure, righteous fury. He roars that as a warrior, his job is to protect humanity, and he will use everything he has to stop her right here and now. As Ceres steals his resolve, a notification appears before him. His unique ability activates. System on. Sappho is unimpressed by his declaration. With a dismissive "really?" she leaps into the air, launching a lightning-fast axe kick aimed directly at his head. But Ceres reacts in an instant. To Sappho's surprise, he catches her leg just before it connects, his hands clamping down firmly. He looks up, shocked that he managed to block the blow. A blur of motion shows the struggle as Ceres, using his armored gauntlets, successfully deflects Sappho's powerful attack. However, Sappho uses her momentum and superior strength to overpower him, slamming him onto the ground with a loud bang and pinning him under her leg. As she pins him, a system window pops up, target locked. Sappho, however, looks down with a shocked and confused expression, telling him he's overreached himself. The physical contact has triggered something unexpected. The system then reveals a strange new metric, a direct result of Ceres' contact with the demonic beast. Lust index, 16%. Meanwhile, the scene cuts to Captain Hill's squad fighting their own scorpion puppet. They manage to land a heavy blow against the monster. Meanwhile, Captain Hills rallies his squad, shouting that the beast's head is turning red and their attacks are finally working, showing a glimmer of hope for the team outside. But for Ceres, hope is fading. Back in the chamber, Sappho lifts him effortlessly by the chin, grudgingly admitting his speed is impressive for a human, before declaring that his journey ends now. Pinning him with her leg, Sappho mockingly tells him that her master, Lord Nay, hates it when humans step into his room. Ceres can only scream in pain beneath her. Even as her sharp claws approach his face, Ceres' mind races. He knows this demonic beast is too strong. He can't allow her to get outside and must stop her here. In a moment of desperate defiance, as her foot presses down on him, Ceres opens his mouth wide and does the unthinkable. A strange, almost romantic sound effect appears as tiny hearts float around a pink orb, indicating an unexpected reaction. Sappho's arrogant composure completely shatters. Blushing furiously, she screams in disgust, outraged at what Ceres just did to her feet. Her intense emotional reaction is immediately converted into power for Ceres. A system window confirms his reward, agility plus 220. Meanwhile, the other party isn't faring so well. The second scorpion puppet slams a member of Captain Hill's team against the cavern wall. Bizarrely, despite its violent attack, the scorpion puppet seems to be blushing and purring, its eyes glowing green as green drool drips from its mouth. Meanwhile, the sudden silence from Ceres' direction doesn't go unnoticed. His comrade, Bella, looks back with growing concern, realizing the fighting has stopped. Her eyes fall upon a pile of collapsed rocks, and she immediately fears the worst, that Ceres was caught in the crossfire and is now trapped. Her expression hardens as she makes a swift decision. I have to get him out. Bella calls out to her comrade, Tyler, telling him to cover her. She's going to get Ceres out of the rubble. Ignoring Tyler's pleas for her to wait, Bella rushes headfirst toward the rockfall where she believes Ceres is trapped. As she runs, she calls out to the pile of rocks, telling the supposedly buried Ceres that she's here and he's going to be fine. The scorpion puppet is quick to react, abandoning its fight with the others to intercept the charging Bella. But before the puppet can reach her, Captain Hills intervenes, protecting Bella with a powerful descending slash of his own. Hills unleashes another skill, a blindingly fast circular slash that arcs through the air with brilliant blue light. His powerful attack connects with the puppet's armor, but it only produces a loud clank, failing to cut through its tough exterior. Hills digs his blade in, the puppet's armor crackling under the immense pressure. All the while, the monster continues to blush and look strangely pleased with the attention. Watching the struggle, Tyler tries to reassure Bella, reminding her that Ceres is a warrior and that a simple pile of rocks shouldn't be enough to take him down. Back with Sappho, she is still reeling from the shock and disgust of having her foot bitten, calling Ceres a disgusting guy while her foot strangely drips. Thanks to the agility boost, Ceres finally breaks free from her grasp. He coughs and gasps for air. A new system window confirming his agility has been boosted by another 340 points. Sappho, still blushing but now enraged, glares at him. She yells that he dared to get her feet dirty and that she's going to make him pay. Using his newly enhanced speed, Ceres swiftly dodges another one of Sathel's attacks. Sathel relentlessly continues her assault with another powerful kick, which Ceres manages to block with his forearm. She's too fast and strong. She grabs his face with her sharp-clawed foot, another humiliating pin. But as she holds him, Sathel is taken aback by an unexpected sensation. A thought appears in her mind, completely against her will. His face is so soft. A system window pops up, delivering bad news. Because he is unarmed, Ceres is unable to use his skill, Instant Slash. He curses, realizing he should have brought a weapon. With no other option, Ceres decides to rely on his fists. He pushes off a nearby wall, launching himself towards Sathel for a flying punch. His desperate punch is futile. Sathel effortlessly swats him out of the air like a fly, sending him crashing hard into a pile of rocks with a painful thud. Sathel looms over his defeated form, her foot pressing down on him. A wave of unexpected pleasure washes over her, and she whispers aloud, "It feels so good." The involuntary thought sends a shock through her, as the system confirms her internal conflict. The lust index has just jumped to 54%. Sathel is losing her composure, grabbing her head and panting. She says oops, as she questions her own thoughts, blushing furiously from the strange sensations. Trying to regain focus, she reminds herself of her mission. She has to kill this guy now, worried about the consequences if the humans outside were to get into Lord Ney's room. She grabs the fallen scorpion tail, which is still connected to her by a thread of blue energy, preparing to use it as a weapon. With a powerful swing, she hurls the massive scorpion claw at Ceres, which crashes into the ground beside him with a heavy thud. Ceres braces himself, his expression serious and focused. He knows a big attack is coming, but this time is different. With a burst of speed, Ceres easily dodges the attack. He realizes the agility he's gained from her is now enough to evade her moves. Now on the offensive, Ceres concentrates magical energy into his hand, causing it to buzz and glow with a powerful blue aura. He slams his energized hand directly onto the scorpion claw weapon, creating a powerful explosion of blue light. Sathel unleashes another high kick with incredible speed. Ceres, using his newfound agility, ducks just in time as her leg whooshes past his head. However, the dodge puts him in an extremely compromising position, with his face pressed directly against her torso. They both freeze for a split second, shocked by the sudden, intimate contact, as Sathel's face flushes bright red. Reacting instantly, Sathel slams Ceres into the wall, once again using her leg to pin him by the neck with a loud thud. Blushing, she looks down at him with a mix of anger and arousal. "I caught you again," she says, vowing to strangle him with her leg this time. Pinned against the wall, Ceres glares back with fierce determination, refusing to give up. Ceres challenges her in his mind. "Try my grip now," he thinks, as his armored hand shoots out to grab her leg. The moment his hand makes contact, Sathel cries out, her face a mask of shock and pleasure. The sensation sends her reeling backward, her body arching as she cracks the wall behind her. Ceres' touch has a new effect, a system window revealing he just lowered her defense by 130 points. Humiliated and enraged, Sathel recovers and viciously stomps her foot down on Ceres' face, pinning him to the floor. She furiously screams at him not to touch her leg with his disgusting hands. In her rage, she loses concentration, and the scorpion tail weapon she was wielding with magic threads falls uselessly to the side. On the ground, Ceres finds that his hands have pinned down the magical threads that controlled Sathel's weapon. He lies on the ground, stunned. He realizes the scorpion tail broke because he managed to sever the connection. Yet, he is still in awe of her strength, admitting to himself that he couldn't fully hide from her attack. Having disarmed him, Sathel looms over Ceres' prone body. She lifts her foot high, declaring her intention to crush his head right now. She steps hard on his head, but her humiliating attack only serves to make him stronger. System windows pop up, showing he has gained 50 endurance, 71 perception, and 93 magic. Sathel herself is confused by the experience. So weird, she thinks, blushing as she wonders why stepping on him like this gives her so much pleasure. She even contemplates stepping on his whole body to see how it feels. Her internal conflict and strange feelings of pleasure cause the lust index to climb even higher, now reaching 66%. She tries to justify her feelings by reaffirming her hatred for humans, declaring they only deserve to be trampled on as she retakes control of her weapon's magical threads. Meanwhile, her distraction has an effect on the other battle. The scorpion puppet begins to wiggle and lose its footing, much to Tyler's confusion. Captain Hill sees the opening and shouts for his team to press the attack. He declares that the beast is losing its balance and that they're winning. Back with Ceres, Sathel stomps on him again, inadvertently granting him another power-up, attack plus 240. Sathel is completely lost in the ecstasy, a look of pure bliss on her face. What a wonderful feeling, she thinks. Her pleasure peaks, and as the lust index skyrockets to 89%, her power surges along with it. Fueled by this new wave of power, Sathel reasserts control over her weapon. The scorpion tail immediately whips through the air, flying directly at Bella. A teammate sees the incoming danger and screams a desperate warning. "Bella, watch out! The scorpion's tail is coming." The massive scorpion tail whips through the air, flying right over Bella's head as she looks up in terror. It slams into the ground just behind her, the force of the impact sending shockwaves through the cavern. Watching from a distance, Tyler screams Bella's name in horror, thinking she was hit. Bella collapses to the ground from the shock, but she is unharmed. Captain Hills stands over her, turning to face the new threat. The scene cuts abruptly back to Ceres, who is blushing and screaming in a panic. "Wait a minute. Not there." Sathel, in her crazed state, is pressing her foot down on a very sensitive area, causing Ceres to protest. Back with the others, the scorpion tail, having missed Bella, now turns its attention to Captain Hills. He realizes it's coming for him next. Hills stands his ground, blocking the massive tail with his sword. The impact is tremendous, creating a huge shockwave that cracks the ground around him. The tail's immense power leaves Captain Hills stunned, his own armor cracking from the blow. Fixated on the weapon now stuck fast in the rock, he's shocked by its strength, realizing this is no ordinary elite monster. The source of this chaos, however, is Sathel, who is completely oblivious. She is lost in a world of pleasure, thinking, it feels so soft. Amazing. As steam rises from her body and the lust index skyrockets to a critical 95%. Having freed its tail, the scorpion puppet leaps over Captain Hills, trying to attack him from behind. Hills turns, furious with himself. "D***MN. I didn't even notice what it was doing," he growls, realizing he's been outmaneuvered. He sees the monster's massive pincer coming for him and realizes in a panic that it's too late for him to stop the attack. But at that exact moment, Sathel lets out another shriek, her mind still reeling from the sensations Ceres is causing. Sathel's mental state directly affects her puppet. Just as it's about to strike, it begins to twitch and rattle, its attack faltering. The attack slams into the ground, but Captain Hills, bracing himself with his sword, manages to block the pincer at the last possible second. His eyes snap open, realizing he has survived and now has an opportunity. He holds the pincer back, surprised he is able to block it. The puppet itself screams, green drool dripping from its mouth as it struggles against him. A teammate seizes the opening created by the puppet's confusion, shouting "good chance," as he lands a solid blow on the monster's back, staggering it. With the puppet now staggered and exposed, Captain Hills prepares to end it. He unleashes his ultimate skill, Tiger Roar Slash, sending a powerful flurry of glowing blue energy slashes directly at the beast. The powerful slash slams into the demonic beast, stopping its charge completely with a deafening bam. Hills's attack sends the monster flying, crashing to the ground in a heap. His teammates watch in awe, one of them exclaiming, "What a great blow!" Tyler and another warrior are ecstatic. They cheer for their captain, amazed that he knocked the beast down with a single blow and proudly reminding everyone that Hills is an A-rank warrior. Simultaneously, Sathel's pleasure reaches its absolute peak. She lets out a final, ecstatic cry as the lust index climbs to a critical 98%. On the other side of the cavern, the scorpion puppet howls in pain on the ground, green drool dripping from its mouth. The warriors are completely won over, their faith in their captain absolute. They believe that as long as Captain Hills is around, they have nothing to fear from any demonic beast. Captain Hills, however, is smugly thinking to himself. He finds it odd that the demonic beast doesn't seem very strong, and he's confident that he can easily win. Suddenly, Sathel yelps as a sharp pain shoots through her foot, causing it to slip. The puppet mirrors its master's pain, letting out a screech and digging its claws into the stone floor as it crackles with energy. Seeing the beast struggling, the arrogant Captain Hills steps forward. He tells his team to stand back, declaring that he'll deal with it himself to show them the power of an A-rank captain. Sathel herself is in turmoil, blushing as she wonders what's wrong with her and why she's doing these things to a mere human. Panting heavily, she tries to tell herself to calm down, but her body and mind are clearly not listening. Beneath her, Ceres can feel his armored gauntlet starting to crack under the pressure. He thinks about her incredible agility and worries that if this continues, his body will break down completely. Even while blushing from the humiliation, Ceres screams back in defiance, yelling that he won't give in. To silence his defiant voice, Sathel does the unthinkable and shoves her entire foot into his open mouth. Ceres can only make muffled sounds as a bizarre kiss sound effect appears. Sathel leans over him, telling the muffled Ceres that she doesn't want to hear his disgusting voice. This ultimate act of humiliation results in the biggest power-up yet. Ceres' eyes glow white as he receives massive boosts to his stats. Over 1,600 vitality, 2,000 concentration, and 2,100 endurance. Captain Hills' arrogance vanishes as the puppet, instead of collapsing from his ultimate skill, pushes back with renewed vigor. D***. Here we go again, he curses, realizing the fight isn't over. The source of the puppet's sudden resilience is, of course, Sathel. Panting and licking her lips, she's completely lost in the overwhelming sensations, inadvertently channeling a torrent of power into her creation. Hill's moment of arrogance is cut short as the beast retaliates, landing a solid blow that makes him cry out in pain. Not to be outdone, Hills unleashes another, more powerful unique skill, the divine rotary slash. His teammates recognize the move and watch in awe. The powerful spinning attack is too much for the puppet, which finally falls to the ground, defeated. Hills stands over it victorious. His team erupts in cheers, praising their captain's strength as the beast screams on the ground. They urge him to deliver the final blow. Concurrently, Sathel lifts her foot off Ceres, a string of saliva-like substance connecting them for a brief, strange moment. As his team celebrates him, Captain Hills boasts. He claims that while the beast may have been able to defeat them, it was far too weak for a warrior of his caliber. That strange substance from Sathel's foot provides Ceres with one last, monumental power-up, granting him thousands of points in defense, agility, and perception. Glowing with a sense of self-satisfaction after defeating the weakened puppet, Captain Hills can only think one thing. I'm so awesome. Sathel is left panting heavily, her mind lost in a daze from the overwhelming afterglow of the sensations, completely unaware of her surroundings. Her daze is shattered when a deep, menacing voice booms from the darkness, calling her name, Sathel. The voice echoes, demanding to know why it is so noisy outside. Sathel freezes, her look of pleasure instantly twisting into a mask of pure terror. A close-up on Sathel's eye shows pure terror. Her master, Lord Nay, has awakened. Snapping out of her daze, she immediately jumps off of Ceres, leaving him on the ground. She lands with a bang, putting distance between herself and the human she was just toying with. Panting, she panics. I'm screwed, she thinks, realizing she got lost in the moment and forgot Lord Nay's orders. She resolves to kill the humans quickly. Her expression hardens. Her long nails crackle with energy as she recommits to her mission, determined to make up for her lapse in duty. But it's too late. A final system window appears. Attack plus 10,000. Sathel looks up to see Ceres, now standing on a cliff edge, enveloped in a swirling red aura of immense power. The tables have turned completely as he looks down on her and calmly asks, "Shall we fight on?" The purple-haired demoness, Sathel, trembles in fear. The man before her feels completely different now, exuding a creepy, oppressive aura that reminds her of the powerful Lord Nay. Staring in disbelief, a single thought consumes her mind. She has to fight this overwhelmingly powerful being? The prospect fills her with dread. The source of her terror is revealed. Ceres, the protagonist, is now just a dark silhouette engulfed in a sinister red aura, his eyes glowing with menace. From Sathel's perspective below, he looks like a god of death. Overwhelmed by fear, Sathel abandons the fight and makes a desperate escape, scrambling down the rocky cliff face as Ceres watches from the edge. As the rustling of her escape fades into the darkness below, Ceres stands at the cliff's edge, confirming that his terrifying foe has fled. He considers giving chase, but quickly decides against it. He has already used too much energy. His true target is the blood of the immortal demon in the boss room, and he can't afford to waste any more power. Meanwhile, the scene shifts. As a squad of knights cheer for their invincible captain from a clifftop, a lone female warrior with blonde hair plummets downwards. But she's not falling helplessly. With a powerful thud, she slams her armored boot into the cliff wall, expertly breaking her fall. Having landed safely, the blonde warrior is immediately met by a concerned comrade. "Ceres, are you okay?" he asks, revealing her name. Recognizing her trusted ally, she exclaims, "Bella." Bella helps Ceres up, his worry evident as he fusses over her and suggests calling the medical team. Brushing off the dust, Ceres calmly reassures her anxious friend that she's really fine. While Bella and Ceres have a quiet moment, their captain, Hills, watches from a distance. As Bella expresses his concern, Hills silently clenches his gauntlet in a fit of jealousy. Putting on a show for his subordinates, the arrogant Captain Hills rallies his men. He boasts that he will defeat the boss single-handedly, much to the admiration of his naive followers. But his inner thoughts reveal a cowardly and deceitful plan. Hills knows this is not a C-rank dungeon, but a much easier D-rank. He plans to solo the weak boss, then lie to the guild to claim a larger reward and a fraudulent reputation, all for a quick promotion. Meanwhile, the demoness Sathel kneels before her master. She frantically reports that a powerful human, who was weak just moments ago, used a strange method to suddenly enhance his power. As Sathel urges him to be careful, the imposing figure of Lord Nay emerges from the shadows, rustling as he takes his seat upon his throne. From the darkness of his hood, the dungeon boss looks down and speaks his subordinate's name with cold, menacing authority. Sathel. Lord Nay commands her to look up. As she meets his gaze, he asks a simple, terrifying question. "What order did I give you?" Sweat drips down her face as she trembles and recounts her failed mission. To watch the door and not let any creatures into your room. Lord Nay's piercing reptilian eye stares daggers at her. Then what are you doing here? He snarls. The question hangs in the air, a death sentence. Sathel is frozen, speechless with terror, unable to answer for her failure. Seeing the blinding light of an impending attack, Sathel cries out a desperate, last-ditch plea to her unforgiving master, her words trailing off as his punishment is unleashed. Her plea is ignored. A searing yellow beam of energy shoots from Lord Nay, striking her directly in the chest. The beam erupts in a massive explosion, engulfing Sathel in a torrent of destructive power. As the smoke clears, the imposing figure of the dungeon boss, Nay, stands revealed. I don't want to hear your excuse, he says, his voice devoid of any mercy. Sathel's battered body slams into the hard stone floor, the impact echoing through the throne room. With a mere flick of his wrist, Lord Nay telekinetically lifts his defeated servant from the ground. He effortlessly flings her through the air, sending her hurtling towards a pile of corpses in the corner of the room. She lands with a sickening bang atop the pile of fallen monsters, her body limp and broken. As green fluid drips from her mouth, a horrifying realization dawns on her. Lord Nay intends to use her as fuel for his ritual. I don't want to die here, she thinks in despair. Ignoring the body of his servant, Lord Nay turns his attention back to his grand ritual. Now revealed in his true multi-armed form, he stands before a massive cauldron, watching the bubbling green liquid inside as it nears its final stage. He then reveals the horrific cost of this potion, boasting that he has used thousands of humans and demonic beasts, their very souls blazing like embers to fuel his dark creation. He looks down at his creation. The blood of a mortal demon, he thinks with satisfaction as it bubbles furiously, is finally beginning to boil. But just as his ritual reaches its climax, the massive throne room doors are kicked open with a deafening bang. Lord Nay slowly turns from his altar, his ceremony interrupted. He silently observes the intruders who have just barged into his sanctum. His face contorts with rage. Who are you? He snarls, his voice echoing in the chamber. How dare you enter my room? It is Captain Hills and his party. With a smug grin, the captain declares, I'm a warrior who can strike fear into your heart. Behind him, the rest of the team, including both the male and female series, look on. As a notification confirms that the blood of a mortal demon can eliminate toxins, Lord Nay studies the intruders, wondering if one of them is the powerful human that his subordinate Sathel had warned him about. The male protagonist, Ceres, stares at the glowing green cauldron, a look of stunned realization on his face. He thinks to himself, that's what's going to cure me? Assuming command, Captain Hills turns to his squad. Everybody listen up, he barks. No one makes a move without my order. Stepping forward, Captain Hills points his sword at the boss in a dramatic pose. I will kill the boss of the C-rank dungeon alone, he proclaims, readying his charge. Let the demonic beast know what humans are capable of. His loyal subordinates erupt in cheers, shouting for him to kill it. But while the captain soaks in the glory, the male Ceres pays him no mind. His eyes are locked on the prize behind the boss, his one and only goal in this dungeon. On that table, he thinks with quiet intensity, is the blood of a mortal demon. As the intruders approach, a massive, intricate magic circle buzzes to life, forming a protective barrier around Lord Nay and his precious cauldron. Undeterred, the arrogant Captain Hills charges forward, his ego inflated by the cries of his men yelling, Go, Captain! Kill it! As Hills leaps into the air for his attack, Lord Nay remains perfectly still, simply raising one of his massive hands to casually intercept him. Feel the fear. Hills screams, bringing his sword down in what he believes will be a decisive slash. But the attack is stopped dead. Lord Nay effortlessly blocks the full force of the captain's A-rank sword with the tip of a single finger. A low rumble begins as Nay channels a fraction of his power into his fingertip, causing the captain's blade to glow ominously. The energy erupts. In a flash of light, Captain Hills's prized A-rank armor is blown to pieces, shattering from the force of Nay's casual counter. With a simple flick, Nay sends the captain flying backward, swatting him away like a fly. His subordinates can only watch in stunned silence, their cheers turning to cries of horror. They scream his name, Captain, as their invincible leader is defeated in a single blow. Hills slams into the far wall with a tremendous bang, his prized A-rank armor completely disintegrated. The impact reveals the secret, dark scale-like S-rank armor he wore underneath, the only reason he's still alive. His confidence is shattered as completely as his outer plating. With a final thud, Captain Hills lands in a heap at the feet of his subordinates, who rush to his side crying his name. Lord Nay looks on in utter contempt. The best of you is that weak? He scoffs, concluding that his guard, Sathel, was useless for being scared of such pathetic intruders. Panting for breath, Hills realizes his A-rank armor was smashed in a single blow. He thinks to himself that if it weren't for the secret S-rank soft dragon scale armor his brother gave him, he'd be dead. His men help him to his feet, pointing out with concern that his armor is shattered and asking if he's all right. Hill's mind races with fear and confusion. He can't understand what's going on, or how there can be such a massive difference in strength between the dungeon's regular monsters and its boss. His arrogance replaced by pure terror, Hills devises a new, cowardly plan. He can't fight Nay directly, so he decides to let his own teammates wear the boss down first. He'll fight Nay only when the boss is exhausted. That way, the captain thinks selfishly, my odds are better. Putting on a brave face, Hills turns to his squad and gives the suicidal order. Everyone on my command, he yells. All hands charge. Do your best. However, a sensible B-rank warrior named Tyler voices a desperate objection. He warns Captain Hills that a disorganized assault will result in heavy casualties and pleads with him to use their standard defensive formation with shields in front. Enraged at this challenge to his authority, Hills gets in Tyler's face. Are you questioning my judgment? Or trying to disobey me? He seethes, using his rank to violently shut down any dissent. While Tyler tries to protest, Hills shoves him aside. Then cut the C*AP. I'm the captain, he screams. You do what I tell you to do. With all dissent crushed, Hills turns to his troops and offers a false, hypocritical promise. Everyone arm up. Don't be afraid. He lies. I'll protect you all. Buoyed by their captain's empty words, the loyal soldiers begin their reckless charge, rushing headfirst towards the dungeon boss. Lord Nay looks down on the charging humans with pure contempt, cracking his knuckles. A bunch of reckless nonentities, he sneers. Your flesh and blood are not even qualified to be fuel for the altar. As the warriors swarm his platform, Nay prepares to unleash his power, promising to show them the absolute, insurmountable difference between man and demonic beast. Following the reckless command of their captain, Hills, the knights charge forward. Their captain shouts that there is a desperate gap in power between them and the dungeon boss. The imposing, horned demon, Lord Nay, unleashes a devastating wave of fiery energy upon the charging knights. The warriors are violently thrown into the air by the force of the blast, their bodies engulfed in the inferno as they cry out in agony. The intense flare consumes everything in its path, incinerating the knights in an instant, leaving only silhouettes against the blinding light. From the heart of the explosion, the dungeon boss Lord Nay emerges, a terrifying figure with multiple arms and a cruel, demonic visage, orchestrating the massacre with contemptuous ease. The heat is so immense that the very ground begins to sizzle and melt, turning the battlefield into a molten wasteland. Captain Hills watches in disbelief as his own sword begins to melt from the sheer intensity of Lord Nay's power. Lord Nay lands gracefully amidst the scorched earth, the sound of his bare feet echoing in the now silent chamber. Looming over the carnage, Lord Nay's voice drips with contempt as he mockingly asks the terrified survivors if this is the fear they so desperately wanted to feel. The taunt shatters what little composure Captain Hills has left. Faced with an enemy he can't possibly win against, his survival instinct takes over, and he screams at his men to run, turning to flee and abandon his command. As the captain turns to flee, a mysterious, crackling dark hand suddenly grabs his shoulder, stopping him in his tracks. The warrior Tyler looks on, speechless. Consumed by fear, Captain Hills ignores the hand on his shoulder and continues to scream, ordering any survivors to fall back and retreat immediately. Hearing his captain's cowardly order after sending so many to their deaths, Tyler's shock turns to rage as he screams, "What an arrogant fool!" The grip tightens as Ceres' hand firmly grabs the captain's wrist, preventing his escape. Struggling against the iron grip, Captain Hills is confronted by Ceres, who reminds him of his empty promise. Captain Hills, you just said you'd protect us all. The battle between you and the boss is not over yet. With his face shrouded in shadow, Ceres coldly informs the captain, "You can't leave now." Hills tries to pull rank, screaming that he is the captain and won't be dragged down. "You can stay and die, but don't take me with you." Lord Nay looks on, amused by the infighting. He raises a hand, preparing another attack, as he mocks the captain for breaking into his room only to try and flee. As Lord Nay readies another attack, the terrified captain screams at Ceres to look at the danger behind him. But Ceres is unmoved, instead pulling the struggling captain back from his escape. Panic turns to disbelief as Hills thrashes in the unbreakable hold. "I can't get my hand out," he screams internally, unable to comprehend the impossible strength coming from the F-rank warrior he'd always scorned. As Lord Nay prepares another devastating energy blast, Captain Hills screams in terror, realizing the attack is aimed at them and desperately pleading for Ceres to let him go. In a desperate attempt to escape, Hills throws a punch at Ceres, screaming, "I can't beat the boss, but you're no match for me, you F-rank loser." Ceres effortlessly catches the captain's fist, stopping his pathetic attack completely. With a sickening crack, Ceres clenches his gauntlet and crushes the captain's hand. Captain Hills lets out a horrific scream of pure agony as the bones in his hand are shattered. Ceres then snaps the captain's leg with a brutal kick and coldly states, "Hills, as captain, you shall keep your word." At that moment, Lord Ne unleashes his sphere of destructive energy, sending it hurtling towards them. As he prepares to act, Ceres' eyes narrow with cold fury as he yells, "You shall protect your teammates." With immense force, Ceres hurls the screaming Captain Hills directly into the path of the attack. "You shall block the attack so your team can retreat," he roars, forcing the captain to become the human shield he had tried to make of his own men. For a fleeting moment, time seems to slow. Faced with his own demise, the cowardly captain can only watch in horror as the deadly energy blast closes in, sealing his fate. The energy blast makes contact, resulting in a massive explosion that sends the remaining warriors reeling from the shockwave. Captain Hills is killed instantly, his armor cracking and his body obliterated by the very attack he tried to run from. His lifeless body is sent tumbling through the air, a final, grim punctuation to his cowardice. The remaining warriors can only watch in shock as the body of their former captain hits the ground with a heavy thud. With the traitor gone, Ceres, his eyes glowing red and emanating a powerful blue aura, declares, "Now it's my turn." Inspired by his resolve, the warrior Bella declares she is staying to fight. By her side, Tyler agrees, adding that he will stay to deal with the demonic beast too. Bella clarifies to Tyler that she's staying specifically for Ceres, showing her newfound faith in him. Tyler quietly responds, "I know." Tyler finds his own courage, declaring that as the best B-rank warrior, he's here to destroy demonic beasts, not run away. He concludes, "I'm tired of taking orders from idiots." Their defiance enrages Lord Ne. "After seeing my power, you still won't run away?" he seethes, taking their courage as a grave insult. "Are you looking down on me?" Ignoring the demon's fury, Ceres makes his move. He activates his instant slash skill, lunging forward with his blade aimed at Lord Ne in a lightning-fast attack designed to create an opening and bypass him. But Lord Ne is faster, blocking the blade with his bare hand, the metal screeching against his demonic skin. Ceres immediately withdraws, leaping back as Lord Ne tries to retaliate with his multiple arms. Though the attack was blocked, a piece of Ne's robe is torn away. The boss's eye glows red with surprise and anger as he thinks, "So fast." Ceres lands gracefully, his feint having served its purpose. Instead of re-engaging, he turns and sprints past the boss, revealing his true objective. "The blood of a mortal demon. My antidote. I'm coming." Lord Ne watches him go, completely bewildered. What? Why is he running to the altar? The boss quickly pieces it together, a look of dawning horror on his face, as he realizes Ceres' true goal isn't to fight, but to steal the precious liquid. Ceres sprints across the throne room floor, his eyes locked on the glowing altar in the distance. He's so close. Just as the enraged Lord Ne is about to give chase, Bella and Tyler intercept him, attacking from both sides to buy Ceres time. "Stay away from my altar." Ne screams. Tyler, his eyes glowing with power, finds an opening in the boss's defense and brings his sword down, seeing a good chance to land a critical blow. However, Lord Ne moves with impossible speed, his hand blurring as he prepares to counter. He effortlessly blocks both of their attacks at once, catching their blades in his bare hands. Ignoring them, Ne turns his attention back to the fleeing protagonist. "This guy's really fast," he muses, charging an energy blast. Like a cockroach. Seeing the boss preparing to fire at Ceres, Bella screams with fierce determination, "You're not going to hurt Ceres." She rushes forward again, desperate to intercept Lord Ne and protect Ceres from the incoming attack. Lord Ne pivots his foot with a rustle of his robes, easily positioning himself to deal with the reckless charge. He contemptuously swats Bella aside with his tail, surprised at how little effort it took to make her fall. With his pursuers dealt with, Ne unleashes a rapid-fire barrage of energy blasts aimed at the distant Ceres. Explosions erupt at Ceres' heels, but he pushes through, jumping and dodging as he closes the final distance to the altar. He leaps through the air, his body glowing with power as he reaches for his prize. Victory is just an arm's length away. Below, the blood of a mortal demon bubbles in its cauldron. "My antidote," he thinks. "I'm here." But just as he gets within reach, a massive, unforeseen magic circle erupts around the altar, buzzing with immense power. Ceres looks on in shock and disbelief, realizing at the last second that his prize is protected. His gauntlet fingers make contact with the shimmering, invisible wall of the magic circle. The moment he touches it, the barrier violently rejects him, unleashing a powerful wave of magical energy. Ceres is thrown backwards, his body sent tumbling through the air, his desperate attempt thwarted. Lord Ne stands victoriously, now holding his defeated opponent's swords. He explains with a mocking tone, "I drew the magic circle myself. As long as I'm alive, no creature can get in." Landing hard on the cracked floor, Ceres looks up with grim realization. Sure enough, he thinks, I can't just go and drink the blood of a mortal demon to detoxify myself. Panting, he stares back at the dungeon boss, his path forward now brutally clear. There is only one way to get his antidote. I have to beat the boss. Continuing from the last chapter, Ceres hides behind a tree. He hears a rustling sound and peeks out, sensing that something is happening in the clearing ahead. The powerful demon, Lord Nay, effortlessly attacks his comrades. "Piss off," she yells, swatting away the warrior Tyler and the knight Bella, declaring that they are completely out of their depth. With two heavy thuds, both Bella and Tyler are slammed to the ground, defeated and unable to fight back against Lord Nay's immense power. From his hiding spot, Ceres' eyes widen in shock as he recognizes the overwhelming power of the demonic beast that had previously escaped. As Ceres contemplates the scene, he finds the demoness Sathel, trembling in fear. She begs him to be quiet, so Lord Nay won't find her. Ceres is shocked, wondering how she ended up in such a terrified and weakened state. Lord Nay steps towards the fallen heroes, announcing that her ritual must be done in peace. She coldly states her intention to kill the stinkers and then proceed to their city. A close-up on Lord Nay's face reveals her seething rage. She finishes her thought, declaring she will attack the city simply to get rid of her anger. The gravity of the situation hits Ceres. Cursing under his breath, he turns, realizing with dread that his comrade Bella is in mortal danger. Deciding to act, Ceres rummages through a pocket in his armor. He needs to help Sathel first before he can save his friends. He takes out an item and places it on the ground in front of the terrified demoness, telling her to take it. From her hiding spot, Sathel stares in disbelief at the object Ceres has placed before her. It's a rare and valuable restorative mustard mushroom. Without waiting for a response, Ceres has already turned and is rushing back towards the battle, yelling out his comrade's name. "Bella, I'm coming." After a moment of hesitation, Sathel's hand reaches out and picks up the mushroom Ceres left for her. With her sharp demon fangs, she bites into the mushroom without a second thought. As she chews, tears of gratitude and relief stream down her face. A system window appears, notifying Ceres that his act of kindness has increased the demonic beast Sathel's favoritism towards him. Simultaneously, a powerful surge of energy whooshes across the battlefield. The system announces that Ceres' actions have met the requirements, and weapon options are now unlocked for him. As the sound of swooshing fills the air, a system interface materializes around a bewildered Ceres, presenting him with a series of mysterious, glowing cards. A notification box appears, offering to explain the rules for selecting a weapon. Meanwhile, the situation is dire for his comrades. Tyler throws himself in front of Bella to block Lord Nay's incoming attack, yelling for her to run. As the blow lands, he grits his teeth in pain, realizing his leg bone has cracked again, and tells her to save herself. Seeing his friends on the brink of death, Ceres glares at the system interface with fury and desperation. "Just skip it," he roars. "I have to save them now. I don't have time for this crap." The system complies, skipping the weapon rules and immediately prompting him to draw a card. With a sharp snap, Ceres doesn't hesitate for a second, thrusting his hand forward to claim his new power. A buzzing sound fills the air as the card in Ceres' hand begins to vibrate with immense energy. With a whoosh, the card transforms into a magnificent golden sword, glowing with a powerful red aura. Ceres immediately readies himself for battle. A system window dings, officially announcing the weapon's identity. Ceres has obtained the clothless sword. With a snap, Ceres plants his feet firmly on the ground, preparing to unleash the power of his newly acquired weapon. Filled with newfound power, Ceres leaps towards Lord Nay, his eyes glowing as he brings the sword down, shouting, "Try my new weapon." With an intense focus and a cry of "Take this," Ceres swings the glowing blade down with all his might. But with a loud bam, Lord Nay effortlessly catches the blade with her bare hand, her sharp claws gripping it tightly, completely halting his attack. Holding the sword in place, she looks at him with a smirk and tells him to move away from his comrades, revealing that they were just bait for her real target. As she lifts him and his sword with ease, Lord Nay reveals her true motive. His comrades were never the goal. Her target has always been Ceres himself, the extremely fast cockroach-like human who had been evading her. She closes the distance between them, her clawed hand reaching for him as she prepares to strike. "At such a close distance," she taunts, "I'll see how you can possibly dodge." But Ceres pushes back with a swoosh, his eyes blazing with defiance. "Don't underestimate me," he yells. "I didn't say anything about dodging." As his sword makes contact with her hand, there's a faint ripping sound, though the effect isn't immediately obvious. Lord Nay looks at the tiny scratch on her hand and scoffs. "All you could do was scratch my skin. I didn't even bleed," she lectures. "This is the difference between humans and demonic beasts," she finishes. But as she boasts, a loud bam echoes and her clothes suddenly rip and tear apart, disintegrating off her body. She looks down in confusion, muttering, "What?" as the tattered remnants of her outfit rustle and fall away, leaving her back and body exposed. A moment later, blushing furiously with shock and embarrassment, the mighty Lord Nay screams in disbelief, "Where are my clothes?" Watching from the sidelines, both Bella and Tyler are rendered in a comedic art style, blushing and dumbfounded by the turn of events. Ceres made the boss's clothes disappear? Bella asks in total shock. Ceres himself, blushing but clenching his fist in triumph, thinks to himself how awesome this weapon is. A system window finally appears, explaining the absurd power of the clothless sword. Striking an enemy causes their clothes to disappear, and when they are fully naked, a powerful must-kill skill will be triggered. Completely naked and trying to cover herself, the demon lord is overcome with humiliation and rage. Dirty bastard. Dirty trick, she screams at Ceres. I'm going to kill you. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more awesome stories.